Hi, my name is Brent Atwater. I'm the animal medium. That's right. I talk to pets on the other side. And a friend of mine came in recently and she said to me, Brent, I got this poem about I have to wait to see my pet until I die. I can't handle that during the Christmas season. I mean, the Christmas season is depressing enough because it's the first one I'm dealing without Fluffy. What do I do? How do I handle it? What is all this stuff about Rainbow Bridge and animal afterlife and things like that? And I said to her, well, let's sit down and discuss it. So we're going to present for you to think about over the Christmas season, because how you view pet loss journey is definitely going to influence your Christmas season. Okay? And no matter which view you choose, Rainbow Bridge or animal life after death, I honor what resonates with you because it's most important that your heart feel comfortable. But we'd like you to consider both and see which fits both with the way you and Fluffy live together. Okay? So let's start first. Number one, the Rainbow Bridge was written by a Scotsman in 1890. So the poem has been around about 120 years. And that poem conjured up an imaginary place in people's mind that would be a pet heaven. And so for 120 years, that imaginary, fictional place, Rainbow Bridge, became a concept to represent pet heaven. Because there is no Rainbow Bridge. It's a poem. Okay? But now, like Disneyland, we've made it a place that is pet heaven. Now, if you subscribe to the pet loss journey with Rainbow Bridge, then Fluffy dies, Fluffy goes to Rainbow Bridge, and Fluffy waits for you until you die. That's a lot of years in there to wait, okay? And Fluffy's with everybody who's dead on the other side. And when you participate in Rainbow Bridge candlelight services or tributes or memorials, it's all about Fluffy's death. There's no forward movement. It's talking about Fluffy died. And there are even websites that sell residencies to a poem in a non-fictional place that doesn't exist where Fluffy's dead. And you can put memorials there and create all sorts of things. And you can make your comments there, but it's all about death. Okay? Now, the second premise is animal life after death. So, if you celebrate Christmas via Rainbow Bridge, then Fluffy died, and you carry that around all through the holidays, and every Christmas he's dead until you die to go with him. And that's the bottom line of the Rainbow Bridge thought process. Okay? Now, if you subscribe to Animal Life After Death, we believe that pet loss is pet loss only of the fursuit, and the pet transitions out of the fursuit and into living energy. And you go, well, how can that be? Well, energy never changes, and it just changes forms, okay? Like ice, when you boil it becomes water, and when you boil water it becomes steam, and when you freeze steam it becomes ice. So the concept, the electromagnetics of water never changes. Water becomes boiled water, becomes steam, you freeze it, becomes ice, you melt it, it becomes water. All of those different forms are still the energy of water. And so a soul's energy is the same thing. It never dies. And therefore the premise of pet afterlife and animal life after death is about there is no death. There is just a change of form. And Fluffy slips out of his fursuit, transitions, and that's the way we use that word. Transitions is real. Death is final. Transitions means he leaves a fursuit that he used on earth, and his living energy transitions to the other side, and you can call the other side Rainbow Bridge, but immediately turns around and becomes a living pet spirit. And that pet spirit can be with you 24/7, the nanosecond it slips out of the pet suit. That's right. The minute the living energy slips out of the pet suit is then dead, and the living energy goes to heaven, which you can call Rainbow Bridge, and becomes pet spirit form. But the difference in the two is that pet spirit can be with you 24/7 the very next day. That minute they slip out of that suit, on the way home from the crematorium, on the way from when you help them transition at the vets. So Rainbow Bridge is about a dead pet and you waiting until you die to be with them. And Animal Life After Death and Pet Afterlife is about living energy that slips out of a suit, sort of like taking off this hat and putting it down and sliding into another hat, and then being with you 24/7 every day for the rest of your life. Animal spirits can be with you the rest of your living life. You don't have to wait to die to be with them. They can be with you immediately. That's why you have afterlife signs. You can see them, feel them, smell them, hear them jingle, hear them bark, feel them purr, see them next to you, feel them sleep up next to you, hear them walk down the hall. All sorts of things. There's a whole world out there that you can do to continue your never-ending love with Fluffy, because Animal Afterlife is about continuing the never-ending love, not about the Rainbow Bridge view, which Fluffy dies, you have to wait till you die to join him. There's no continuation. It's over. Animal Life After Death and Pet Afterlife is a continuum. It's about Fluffy transitioning, changing form to pet spirit, and in pet spirit joining you for the rest of your life in a living journey, except in a different form as a pet spirit. And you as the human, you're the one that has to adapt to the pet spirit, and you have to learn to listen to the signs and see the signs and feel the signs and hear the signs and see the signs and look at the clouds and, oh wow, there's a Rainbow Bridge. Do you know why a pet spirit sends you a thing of Rainbow Bridge? To let you know he's not there. How about that? One of the main signs is crying. You're crying because your pet spirit is knocking on your heart, wagging his tail and purring and going, hey Mom, I'm here. So your heart responds and you cry. Because it's living energy that's touching your living energy. And the minute you go through that wound, you go through the wound of grief, which is normal and human, your heart opens back up, and the minute you get a sign from your pet, it changes your life forever. You know Fluffy's not dead, and you don't have to wait to die to join him. You know right then, there, at that very minute, from then until you cross over, you and Fluffy are alive and well and sharing your love and continuing your never-ending connection together without any gaps. So, it's your choice to celebrate Christmas and all the holidays with the Rainbow Bridge concept of Fluffy's dead and you don't really get to do anything with him till you die. Or you can consider and research and look at Animal Life After Death and Pet Afterlife. And that's about continuing your journey after Fluffy transitions to pet spirit. And then you can learn how to get signs and all sorts of things that continuously, until the day you cross over, has an ongoing, uninterrupted, never-ending love with Fluffy. Your choice. I hope that helps explain everything today. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Stay tuned. Subscribe. We have lots of interesting subjects, and if you would like to contribute a question, do so. Go to my website, www.brentatwater.com. It says TV show. You can send us your questions there. You can see all of the subjects of our multiple 200 plus YouTubes where you can see the subject and learn what you want to learn. Please join our Facebook group. It's listed below. And we talk about all sorts of signs, how to learn to have signs, how to see signs, how to recover from grief, how to shift from the Rainbow Bridge dead perspective into the living energy and continued loving perspective. It's all about your soul's involvement. And we're looking forward to expanding your awareness and sharing what we know so you can pass the love forward, and your love doesn't have a stop in it. It just keeps on going with Fluffy. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye, bye, bye.